welcome back. My name is Heather, and this is the Savage Daughter podcast. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about my relationship style and a lot of the questions that come along with it. If you've listened to any of the previous episodes, you would know that I am polyamorous. We are in a V-style relationship, basically meaning I'm a hinge, meaning I have two partners, but they are not together. So it's not like we're not all together, but I have my own separate relationships with both my partners. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and I'm going to answer some questions that come up quite often and try to spread a little bit of light because I do know that a lot of people are curious, but they don't want to come across as rude by asking or unsupportive. So I just figure I kind of break the ice and open that door myself. So let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, I wanted to let you know that the audio may have some little noises or so. I've gotten a lot better. However, today I am recording in my van. My sister is staying with us indefinitely, and my routines and everything is kind of off, and the kids are sick, so the house is not very quiet. So that was partly why I took a little break, was to just kind of get back into some kind of a routine and just spend some time and be in the moment with my sister being here. It's been very, very nice for all of us. But yeah, so if you hear any birds or cars passing, I am sitting in the car today, and it's actually quite warm in here. So I have to open the windows for some air. So you'll probably hear some outside noises going on. Okay, so for those who don't know, my partners' names are Adam and Alex. Alex was transitioning female to male. So that's a little bit about my partners. As far as who they are and what their gender is. So the first question is, how did we all meet? So I met Adam while I was doing some community service in Pontiac, and he was staying in the homeless shelter there that I was volunteering in, and him and his mom. He had just been kicked out of his sister's house, and there was just something about his energy that I really, really liked. So I scribbled my name and number on a napkin and slid it over to him one day. And he kind of ghosted me for a few days. And then he texted me, and I didn't have any intention of it being a long-term thing, but I wasn't opposed to it either. And I think that he was also in that same mindset. We were kind of just seeing how it went, because obviously we weren't in the best place in our lives when we met each other, and he kept saying, I don't have anything to offer. And I was like, okay, I'm not asking for that. Like, I just liked his energy and his mom's energy, and I just knew that they were good people. Because of our living situations at the time, it kind of pushed us to, move a little bit quicker than we both probably would have liked. And we weren't serious, like extremely serious, I guess I should say, when we found out that I was pregnant with Saoirse. Saoirse was kind of a surprise. We were on 3 forms of birth control, and I still got pregnant. So that kind of made it a little bit more longer term, but we never really, I guess, wanted to split up. It just felt right with Adam. He is literally my best friend. He drives me absolutely crazy sometimes, but he's definitely my ride or die. He's very supportive. He's a great dad to our kids, and I'm so thankful that we met that day. As far as me and Alex, Alex and I met at Taco Bell. We both worked there. I was kind of looking for a girlfriend at the time, and obviously, like I said, Alex was, female at the time, and a friend of his kind of pushed us together because Alex was just going through a recent divorce, and kind of just thought maybe it would be good for both of us if we kind of just maybe started talking. So ironically, we started talking 4 years ago tomorrow. So that is kind of cool. We were working together, and I made a joke about, him being such a good worker and was like, here, let me do your job for a night and you just do what I normally do and you take it easy, because he was always doing so much and working so hard. And that was one of the first things that really drew me in, was his work ethic. And I tried to do as good of a job as him, and let's just say he is definitely the boss at work, because I could not do it. We were so far behind because of me, but he let me try. I learned my lesson. He is superior. So that is a little bit how we met. The next question was, how did you introduce Alex? So obviously Alex and I, we worked together. So we would stay outside at Taco Bell after work and we would just talk until probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We were closers. So we'd get off at 2. And we would literally stay there and talk in the parking lot until like 5 or 6. And I'm like, I got to go home and go to bed. The kids are going to wake up in a couple hours. But how we actually met was, there was a car show going on in our hometown. And I was like, hey, do you want to bring your dog and maybe meet my family? And he was like, yeah, of course. And, it was actually Adam's idea. He was like, do you like her? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, then let's go and meet them. And I was like, okay. So they met. Adam was very quiet at first, and I think Alex was too. Alex is pretty shy naturally, but the kids they were really little at the time. Aiden had just turned, I think it was 2 or 3. And it was just the kids were a good icebreaker. And then the kids were like, who is he? Like what kind of they started asking questions. And after they met is kind of when we made it official. So probably the biggest question that I get asked a lot is, how did we get into a polyamorous relationship? And Adam actually brought it up to me a long time ago, and I was definitely into the monogamous mindset. I had tried having an open relationship with my ex-husband, and it did not go well at all. And I just kind of got like an ick vibe from it. And Adam, he kept, he'd bring it up gradually, and he would, talk to me about it. And then like, one day I was like, okay, well, why are you interested? And he was like, well, because I don't want you to think that I don't love you and I don't want to be with you, but there are certain needs that I have that you cannot give. And, having more than one relationship would be, ideal, because it would take off the pressure. You wouldn't have to feel guilty because, you're taking care of you, you're taking care of our kids. You don't have to worry about me on top of it all, that we can just kind of exist and let our love go the way that it needs to without being so much pressure. And I was like, okay, well, while I like that idea, I don't know if I could do it. And he asked if I would be interested in maybe just opening it up as an open marriage. And I was like, okay, maybe. And so we tried that for a minute, but I cannot have a casual relationship. I'm very I have to be able to connect to you on an emotional level and an intellectual level. Like if I do not feel like we're compatible, you just will lose my interest, and then won't be any kind of sustainable. So that is kind of where we fell into the polyamorous side of it, because I couldn't just have casual. I had to have an actual relationship with somebody to be able to share any kind of intimacy or share my life with. Even though I am very open with, like this podcast and, my mental health and stuff, there's still a certain part of me that is very closed off, and it's normally relating to my relationships. So, while I am very public, I'm also very private. So it was kind of like I had to be able to open up a little bit to be able to experience, that. So we gave it a shot, and the first go was a dud. The guy that I was with, it was a terrible guy, but I learned a lot of lessons in that relationship. And when I met Alex, it just kind of just like how it felt right with Adam, it just kind of felt right. And when they met and I just seen how well their personalities meshed, it just made it all the more confirmation that it could work. So then people are always asking like what kind of structure we have. And again, I know I said it in the intro, but we have a hinge relationship, or a V, some people call it. We are all equal partners. There's not any kind of like superior. There's not a nesting partner per se that some relationships have. They are not together. If we're out in public, you would think that they are, but they are not. They just have a very close relationship. Best friends, I guess you would say, could be a very good term to describe it. You really can't know the type of bond that they have until you see them in action together, because it's something that just can't even begin to be described, even for me. And I do love watching their bond and how close that they've come over the 4 years. It's not been perfect. It's not always been pretty. They have very similar but very different personalities and opinions on a lot of things, and they're both stubborn in their own ways. So it took a lot of communication, a lot of, trial and error. We lived together for a short while, and that was definitely probably one of the hardest things I've ever been to, because we were all learning the dynamic, and, they were both coming to me complaining about, certain things that the other was doing that was irritating them, because they weren't comfortable enough to communicate it with each other. And finally, one day I just snapped and I was like, I cannot be in the middle. You guys have to talk. Like, whatever your issues are, you guys have to talk about it. And I don't even remember what ended up happening, but I know that they snapped on each other one time. And then ever since then, they went back and they apologized and was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snap at you. I was just very frustrated. And that seemed to, I don't even know who did it first. I think it might have been Alex kind of snapped on Adam, and then Adam might have apologized. I can't remember. But I do know that they are able to communicate a lot more effectively now. That a lot of the old issues, now that they know each other, aren't necessarily issues anymore. And we don't live together right now, but the end goal is to all be in the same house. And we've talked about that, like, hey, if we all do move in together, like, what are the do's and don'ts to make sure that this is peaceful? And so communication has definitely been a huge benefit to our type of structure, because they aren't on an intimate relationship. So they're sharing me, they're sharing our kids, and we're co-parenting, we're having a family together, but yet our separate lives as well. The next question is, how did you come out to the kids? So I don't necessarily think that we really came out to the kids. We've always been very open with our children about a lot of different things. And we very firmly believe that while communication is key, you don't have to over-explain everything. And love is one of them. And we shouldn't have to explain how many people we're loving and who we're loving and why we're loving them. So we just kind of let it roll out and let the kids realize it for themselves. I don't think that there was any profound moment where they're like, oh, I have 3 parents. Like, still sometimes they'll be like, wait, like, are you and dad divorced? Are you dating? Like, they don't know how, like, it all works, but they're starting to ask a little bit more questions as to, like, the actual dynamic of it. But they've always respected Alex as a parent for the most part. Obviously, like most kids, when a step parent comes into the picture, they push their boundaries, and they definitely tried to wreak some havoc in the beginning of the relationship. They tested every limit they could possibly imagine. But it helped that Adam and Alex and I all stood on a united front. Like, I created a group chat, and then we, now it's kind of escalated where we talk about anything and everything, some of the silliest things. But it was primarily meant for communication regarding the kids. Like, hey, the kids asked this, or the kids are doing this. That way we were all on the same page. And the kids have learned real quick that Dad and Alex are a lot firmer of parents, and they back each other up. And I'm kind of the soft one that's a little bit more of a pushover. So they got they got it from both ends, but we all try to be really united when it comes to them. That way there's no confusion as to, them trying to play the other parent. They still try like most kids, but they don't get away with it. So another question is, how did people react when you guys came out as a polyamorous couple? And I would say overall, people responded very well to it. Obviously, love is love. A lot of people have that mindset of, it doesn't affect me in my life, so it shouldn't really matter. However, my stepmother did not react very well. She was worried about what it would do to the family name and what people in town would think of. We were from a small town, and there was a lot of drama on that aspect of it. Like, my family didn't take it very well. I was a little estranged from my father at the time, but once I, got back in touch with him, he was probably the most accepting besides my sister. And, then, my brother started coming around. My mom still thinks that it's a sickness and that I am, mentally disturbed because of this, and besides the lifestyle that I live. So that's a little bit hard at times. But ultimately, I know how I've thrived being loved by both of them, because they both love me in a very different way and in the ways that I need them to. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a lot of pressure to put on one person to meet every single demand and need that we have. So having more than one person, or the potential to have more than one person, it's definitely nice because you can truly live up to your potential. Do I have any regrets? No, I don't. I love our relationship. I love how they are together. I love the family that we're building and how close we are. I love how adaptable my kids have become because they see us representing it. I don't have any regrets. I wish I would have met Alex sooner, but I think that if we would have met sooner, it would have been a completely different circumstance than what we are in now. I think that, again, everyone says God's timing is divine. And while I don't necessarily, I believe more in like energy in the universe and stuff like that, I definitely can agree with that. The timing wasn't right before that. So I'm very thankful that we met when we did, because our relationship probably wouldn't be as beautiful as it is had we met any sooner. To kind of go back a little bit on one of the questions, because it gets brought up later on and it kind of would just make sense to bring it up now, about Alex's ex-wife and how she handled it. And obviously when we first got together, Amanda was already with somebody else. It still was kind of hard because she found out via Facebook instead of just being told, which we could have done that differently. But Amanda and I are very much the same type of person. We have a lot of the same core values, which made it very easy to respect each other and to respect our places. And Amanda now is one of my best friends, and I feel safe to confide in her. And she was in a poopy situation, and I was talking to Alex one night, and I was like, so hear me out. And he was like, oh great. Like, I can already tell this is going to be a terrible idea. And then I was like, what would you think if, we had Amanda move down here with us? It would help get her out of, a town that I felt was too small for her personality, because it was too small for mine. And I was like, I think that she'd really thrive down here. Like, I think she would find, a lot of new friends. Like, where we're living now is significantly bigger and not as suffocating as our hometown. And that's nothing against our hometown at all. But for people like us who have big ambitions and we don't really do well in the drama, we need a bigger scene where it just feels more open. So she ended up moving down here, and we still, I mean, we're not as, like, we don't talk every day or anything like that, but I say that we're still pretty close. I love how open we were all able to make this. You know, she has come over and spent Thanksgiving with our family while Alex went up north and visited, you know, his sister and his mom. Like, his ex-wife would come and hang out with my husband and I and our kids, and, you know, we do a lot of things together, and that's definitely probably one of the favorite things about our relationship is how much love there is for not only the people in the family, but for like extended family as well. So Amanda's still family, even though their marriage didn't work out. Like, they're still really good friends. Therefore, she's still my family now too, as well as, you know, Alex's family, and then my sister and my brothers and stuff like that. My dad, like, it's such a beautiful thing having all the people and all the love, you know, coming down to me, our family, and the kids. It's a beautiful thing. But anyway, okay, so the next question, how do the kids handle it? That depends on the day. On the days that they're acting crazy and being little booty brains, they don't like having three parents because, again, we're all in unison on how we handle a lot of the situations. So that's three parents coming down on them and not just two. They love, you know, one time somebody was like, how do you like having three parents? And Saoirse was like, you know, that's more love. I love having, you know, three parents because that's all the more things that we can do. That's all the more, you know, people that can love on me because she is a princess. She likes all the attention. Whereas Aiden was more like, well, three parents is more presents at Christmas time. And it's kind of become a joke since then, you know, when people are like, how do the kids, oh, poor kids, how do they handle it? I'm like, oh yeah, poor Aiden, he gets more Christmas gifts, and everybody laughs because, like, that's how they picture it. I know Saoirse's been questioned at school, like, how do you like, you know, because the kids were questioned in a sense of, you know, it's not traditional. And the teacher said how smart Saoirse responded and how just matter of fact she responded kind of blew the teacher away. It was like, well, are you loved by more than one person at the same time? Like, you know, and she was like, yeah. She's like, do you love more than one person at the same time? Like, can you love your mom, your dad, your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and your kids? And she was like, well, yeah. Saoirse's like, so why does it matter how many people love mom in that same way or how many people mom love? And the teacher was like, oh, okay. And mind you, she was in kindergarten. And the teacher when we picked her up one day, was cracking up about it. She was like, I won't ask again. I'm not concerned about that family dynamic at all. So that's that. Aiden, he is a lover. He loves Alex. They have a very special bond too that is very different than the bond that he has with his dad. A lot of people say, we make him call Alex by his name or by dad? We do not make them call him anything that they don't want to call him. Our kids, I was kind of forced to call my stepmom mom because it was a sign of respect. And I didn't really question it until I was older. I wish I would have been given that opportunity to decide for myself. But the kids, they call him Alex now, or, when he was still a female, he was, Elise. Sometimes it was Mom Elise, and sometimes it's Dad Alex now. It just kind of depends on their mood. It doesn't hurt Alex's feelings either way because it's very evident how much our children loves him and how much he loves our children. There's no name or, anything that has to be called for the love to be felt between them. So we don't really ask them to call him anything other than what they want to, unless it's disrespectful, obviously. We make sure that the kids stay really respectful of everybody. One other question was, what was one of my favorite bonding moments or our favorite family, like how we all bonded as a family? Michigan Adventures was definitely fun. I wouldn't say that was like our first bonding, but that was probably my favorite because we got to take turns. You know, the kids were still really little and they don't know how to swim, so we couldn't really do the water park. And it was nice being able to go on a ride with Adam and knowing that there was an adult, a responsible adult sitting with the kids on the ground, and or going with Alex and having that one-on-one time with Alex, and still knowing that there was a responsible adult with the kids, but yet all doing stuff with the kids as well. There was a lot of memories made, and I really enjoyed seeing the kids bonding. You know, it was their first trip to Michigan Adventure, my first trip to Michigan Adventures. So it was definitely nice to experience that first all together. Another one, I would say the first bonding time that I really seen Alex and Adam like put their differences aside and actually like work together was there was, a bat in our living room one time, and Adam was playing a game and it swooped into the living room, and he come running in and knocked on our bedroom door, and he was like, "There's a bat in the living room." And when he was running away to go, you know, make sure the kids' door was closed, you could hear his little feet just like patter across the floor, and Alex was giggling. And I hate bats. Like, I grew up in a house that had a lot of bats. I've had one stuck in my hair. I've had to hide underneath a table because they dive bomb me. Like, no, I'm good on bats. And so I made sure that the kids' doors was closed. Me and the dog went into our room, shut our door, and I hid under the blanket with the dog, and they figured it out. Both Adam and Alex, and then our daughter Madison, they had to figure it out. But like, you could hear them laughing, and then you'd hear, you know, the bat was running into things, knocking things off the walls and stuff, and they were trying to get the bat to fly out the door, and it was hilarious. But hearing them laugh and stuff, and I was safe under that blanket. There was no bats getting in my hair. That was probably one of my favorite. I think that's Adam and Alex's favorite too, because it still gets brought up and they both laugh just as hard as they did before. As far as family dynamic, I think we pretty much covered that. There's nobody superior or, you know, a nesting partner or anything like that. It kind of just is how it is. We're all equal partners in all of it. We at least try to be as much as we can. Obviously, again, we're not perfect. We have to communicate. You know, Adam was starting to feel like I was spending a little bit more time with Alex, and I had been because Alex's house is closer to my work. So I was spending a little bit more time there and, you know, going through, you know, depression and anxiety and all of that. Sometimes I tend to withdraw. So work takes all of it out of me. After work, I don't want to do anything. So I just go right back to Alex's house because I had to work the next day or whatever. And so Adam wasn't really getting enough of me. So then once he communicated that, you know, we would just readjust. So now I'm more with Adam right now and, you know, refilling his love tank and being with the kids more, being more present here. And, you know, it's just kind of what we need, whoever needs what, when. There's no real dynamic other than just making sure that everybody's needs are met and that their love languages are, you know, being met as well. A lot of people know that Alex and I are engaged and that we are planning our wedding, and everyone's wondering how that will work because Adam and I are technically still legally married. You know, whose name will I take, etc. So Adam and I will be getting a divorce because obviously it's not legal to be married to more than one person at the same time. So we will be legally getting a divorce. That being said, Adam and I kind of got married. I don't want to say because we were bored, because that wasn't necessarily true. I wanted to have the same last names as the kids. And at the time we weren't polyamorous, and I didn't ever plan on leaving Adam and he didn't ever plan on leaving me. So it just kind of makes sense. We had a courthouse wedding. It was really simple. It was, to us, it was more so just a piece of paper. However, when I met Alex, that was one of the things he brought up. He's like, well, how is the marriage thing going to work? Because I really want to be married. I want to have that title. I want to have that piece of paper. Like, it means something to him. So Adam had, you know, we all talked about it, and Adam was like, you know, then we can get divorced and you guys can get married. The only condition that I have is that I want to be the one to marry you guys. So he is officially ordained. He will be the one that will be the one marrying us. As far as whose name I will take, I am thinking that I'm going to probably hyphen it. I don't know if Alex will hyphen it as well, but I know that I probably will be, at least, because I don't want to lose that, the McGarity name. It's the same name as my kids and Adam, and I still very much want people to understand that he is still, while I might not be legally married to him anymore, I'm still going to be with him, and we are still partners regardless. So I'm thinking the hyphen, and I'm pretty sure Alex probably will, as long as Adam's okay with it. And I think that we've talked about it, and I don't think there was really a decision officially made, but I don't think anybody's opposed to that either. Another question, how do you split your time and why? I think I kind of just went over that. I kind of go based on who needs what when. There's certain days that, Alex might need my attention a little bit more than Adam, or vice versa, or I might need, whatever my physical or emotional or mental needs are that they supply. I might need to be with them, or I might need to be more with the kids, and we just split our time accordingly. Now, the goal was to be, week on, week off type thing originally, but their houses right now are about 40 minutes apart. And again, my work was closer to Alex's house. It was extra gas and stuff like that. So I just ended up being with Alex a lot more, but it was literally only because of that. So it just kind of changes. I have, multiple of my belongings at both houses, so I don't really have to pack a bag or anything like that. I don't live in suitcases, bouncing back and forth to each house. It's just kind of, I go over there and, you know what? I want to be here tonight. Like, I need time with you. I need time with the kids, or I need time with Alex. And I just kind of go back. A lot of people ask if we have any jealousy. Yes, like every human, we are capable of the feelings of jealousy. It obviously works a little bit different because we are all open and we all understand that, there's going to be that intimate relationship. It was a lot of communication and a lot of making sure that we were meeting each other's love needs, to make sure that they understand that nobody's getting left behind, nobody's forgotten, and then the jealousy Jealousy often stems from insecurity. And so once we made that mental connection, we kind of really focused on making sure everybody felt secure in their relationships, individually and together and as a family. It does still show up sometimes, like in the weirdest ways, but it still, again, we just talk about it, and it might turn into a disagreement at first, but once we get to the root problem of it, which we all normally are really good about getting to the root of any issues pretty quickly so it can be resolved. It's not like an ongoing fight or anything like that, because we've all gotten very good at communicating. As far as rules and boundaries, I wouldn't say we necessarily have rules anymore. A lot of people say, can you cheat in a polyamorous relationship? The answer is still yes. We still have boundaries. We'll still have certain things. I would say, I guess our biggest rule that we have is no details on the intimate side of it. Like, we don't want to know anything like that. Like, we can joke around and whatnot, but there's not really, we keep our relationships separate from each other. And if there is going to be anybody brought into the dynamic, we just ask, if you guys are talking and, you feel like you might be growing feelings, just let us know. That's the only thing that I really have. Like, don't hit me with it, or I don't want to find out from somebody else, because I've been in a relationship and all of a sudden I'd be getting Facebook messages like, did you know that your boyfriend's out with so-and-so? No, I did not know that, but thank you for letting me know. And that, again, is where, yes, cheating can happen in an open relationship. If there is sneaking and there's hiding and stuff like that, means you're doing something that you feel is wrong. And it can still happen. You have to be respectful of everybody's, boundaries in it. Which leads into the next question, which says, what's the biggest ick about, the baby Polly in me? And I would say my biggest ick, like looking back, is feeling that insecurity and making it Like, I had a no ex rule. You can't, if you've dated an ex, and I guess I would say that still kind of stands, but I'm not as close-minded as I used to be. But my original icky rule was you can't date an ex, or you can't be with an ex because they're an ex for a reason. It means that there's going to be drama. There's going to be, you could catch feelings and love them more than me because you already loved them before me. So obviously that just makes me, insecure in my own way. And as stupid as it sounds, like, that was a legit fear for me for the longest time. And I don't think that I got over that until Amanda moved down here with me and with Alex. And I think that was a very healing for myself as well, to know that I got a lot of security out of that. And I trust Amanda and I trust Alex 100%, and nothing like that ever happened or would happen. Their marriage ended and it was very clear. But I am human and I was prone to those feelings. And that was probably my biggest ick, is just worrying that if, they got with an ex or got with somebody else, that there wouldn't be room for me. And that is so far from the truth. They always make time for me and making sure that my needs are met. And I try my best to do the same for them. Again, it's not perfect. It is hard juggling, especially if they both need something at the same time. It's just kind of a judgment call, who needs what more at the time that I can offer it. What is my biggest flex in the relationship? I would say our relationship as a whole, like the ability to love, the ability to put aside our own personal feelings, our insecurities, and communicate with the other. I think that our communication is definitely on point. It's not going to be perfect. It's not like every normal monogamous relationship. It's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be some area that you can improve your relationship. And it's the same with this. But I feel like we are very, very much an ethical, non-monogamous group, and everybody is treated fairly. And that is one of my biggest happinesses, I guess. Is that even a word? That's probably one of the biggest things, biggest flex in our relationship, I think, is just the relationship in itself and how we manage it. We talked a little bit about our future goals. Alex and I want to get married. A lot of people are asking, are you wanting to add on to your family? Because Alex doesn't have any biological kids of his own. And yes, we had tried for a while with getting him pregnant while he was still a female, and we weren't having any luck with that. And now that he has decided that he wants to go ahead with the transitioning now versus later, obviously I'm fixed. So it changes a little bit about our family goals, but we're looking into our options. There's always surrogacy. There's always, there's different options that we could potentially still add on to our family. And yes, that is a goal. It is not a top priority right now. Financially, that will cost us a lot of money no matter what route we go. And financially, we're just trying to focus on getting us all into one house. And, again, my sister just moved in with us, and I don't know how long she's going to be here. I hope for a very long time. She's very happy here. So I would like to, make sure that everybody is in a space that, we could add on, and everybody would understand that, that doesn't change the amount of love that we have currently for everybody. So, yes. And if, it's in the table for us, we'll have a baby. Otherwise, who knows? We'll have lots of dogs, or maybe we'll have both. I don't know. But yes, we have baby fever. We want to add on another baby. Or two. I say or two. Alex says or one. But, I get what I want. Biggest support for our type of relationship. I think this is the last question. Yep, this is the last question. So the biggest support for our relationship, I would say... everybody, I can't really say there's any specific person that stands out more than the other. besides my mother-in-law, Dorothy, Adam's mom. She zero judgment. She doesn't question. She doesn't ask. She's like, she asks the kids, "Are you happy?" And they say yes. And she says, "Do you feel left?" They say, "Very much so." That's all she asks. She makes sure, obviously, we're good, and that we're in a healthy place. But other than that, I would say Dorothy's probably one of our biggest support, as well as my best friend, Catherine. Catherine is also one of those people that never really asks questions. She's seen me in some of the worst times of my life. She actually seen me when we first opened our relationship, and I was in a relationship with that guy that didn't go well. And she was actually probably the biggest person that showed me that I deserve better than that, and that I could still have this relationship, but it didn't have to be with him, and kind of helped me through that. And we don't have the same like religious views or anything like that. So that's what makes our friendship even more beautiful, is because there's never any judgment between us, and it's literally nothing but love. And so I would say probably those two would be my biggest support. However, everybody has been very supportive, except for, like I said, my stepmom has issues with it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect anybody other than ourselves. So I don't really pay attention to who supports us and who doesn't, because we take care of ourselves and we support each other. And, I have my best friends. I have, his family. I have Adam's family. And we are really, truly blessed with the amount of people that love us and support us and cheer us on. So, yeah. I think that basically covers up all the questions. So yes, that was actually the last question. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. If I get enough questions added on to these ones, I might do a part 2. Otherwise, I'll just answer them individually. We like to spread knowledge, and I know it's a topic that not a lot of people talk about, and there's a lot of different structures in polyamory. So like, that's just our particular experience. It varies from, relationship to relationship, but that is a little bit about ours and how we stand with our family. But anyway, that is a wrap for today. If you like this podcast or any other episodes, feel free to share. We are on YouTube at The Savage Daughter Company. Facebook is Heather McGarity. We have a Facebook community group, The Savage Daughter. You can also find that on my profile of Heather McGarity. And then Instagram is HMcGarity90, and then my TikTok is HMcGarity1. The music in this episode and all the other episodes is credited to Ian Mark. He is on Spotify. His username is Hi, I'm Ian. All together, no spaces. And that's a wrap for today. So thank you for listening, and until next time, peace out, homies.